All right. Hello, hello. Morning, everyone. Or morning for me, I suppose. Let me know you can hear me and see me okay. Uh, hey, Jeffrey, good morning. Get a little sip of coffee from the Laravel podcast mug. Thank you. Titan & Co. All right. Let's get into it. Again, let me know in the chat that everything's good. Okay, so what started all this is Blueprint, but I started kind of a thread on Twitter. Uh-oh, I've got an echo. Echo, echo. Is it really bad? Maybe I have the wrong audio settings. Let me check this real quick. There's probably going to be a slight echo with the room because it's a shotgun mic. If it's absolutely terrible, do let me know and I can put on my gamer headset. I'm trying to talk a little quieter because my daughter's sleeping. So I do expect a bit of an echo. So, oh, it is pretty bad. Okay, well then, let me switch. It's strange because it's been good the last few streams, or maybe nobody's complained. Let me untangle this mess of USB cable and we'll switch to this. I also just updated my Ecamm Live. I wonder if they have something weird about that. Yeah, strange. Alright, well, give me a sec. Plug this in. Alright. Alright, testing, testing, testing. Let me get the right audio output. Testing, testing, testing. Everybody hear me okay through the gamer mic? Hopefully that's way less echo. If it is an echo, then I would say something is wrong with my streaming software. Alright, well let me know. I'm going to assume this is better, at least. Should be pretty good, though. Okay, so anyway, what I was saying was kind of started this kind of thread the other day, and basically, long story short, the maintaining older versions of Laravel from the perspective of I guess from the perspective of a package maintainer is really it's really annoying, actually, because if you think about it, like Laravel LTS, which is 6.x, is 2 years old now, and there's been massive changes in Laravel. There's been massive changes in Laravel just from Laravel 8, but it's really been even worse from the perspective of like going 2 years back. So, the LTS version has like 6.x as far as, again, being 2 years old. 7.x has some changes as far as like what else was in 7? Like, for example, str of, I think I talk about in here, just the helper to make like a fluent string class, or class-based factories in Laravel 8. And so for a package like Blueprint that generates code, it's one of those things that this code base is getting like really, really crazy. So while I definitely appreciate that Blueprint is probably a bit on the extreme side of having to support multiple versions, it's just not something I want to do anymore. I just want to support the latest version. Maintaining any package already has a lot of overhead. It's a lot of effort, and it's one of those things where life would just be easier to have supporting the latest version, latest features, generating the latest code, and not having to go back again multiple versions, multiple years, multiple PHP versions, and all the same. Now, of course, this is going to vary from package author, and as you'll see in the thread, some comments from like commercial packages. Of course, they want to support as many versions as possible. That means more money for them. But Blueprint's an open source, free, package, so it's one of those things where it doesn't make sense for me to spend all that extra time kind of supporting these older versions when kind of the whole goal, especially for Blueprint, is to generate kind of the latest, greatest Laravel code. So that's the bit there. You can find it on Twitter, this whole thread, lots of comments and so forth going back and forth on there. So if you want to check those out, go for it, but that's kind of where this all originated from. So what I want to do today is basically, and just kind of as a real quick demonstration of this, here's add support for use current on update. This is actually a Laravel 8 only feature, but it's one of those things where we're trying to add configuration, we're trying to update where it's displayed using it as default, and it's only 836. So this PR is good, but I can't accept it because I need to go back and make sure that well, what happens if you try to use this on 6 or 7 or whatever? And I just don't want to have to think about all that when I'm maintaining it, and I don't want to have contributors maybe not want to contribute, or because again, it's just too complicated, right? It creates that extra overhead. So anyway, let's get into it. So what I want to do is basically tag Laravel, tag a version 2 for Blueprint, and really start ripping out everything where it only supports Laravel 8 and probably PHP like 7.4 and above. So first though, I do want to merge one of these. So again, this is Laravel 8 specific, so once I'm done with all this, I should be able to merge this PR without any issue. This particular PR does seem to be a bug fix. It doesn't really have a good test case. But yeah, let's see if we can kind of fix this up to merge it first. So let's just go in here and resolve these conflicts. What is the issue here? Relative class names removes namespace. These should just be joined together, so let's fix this up. Let's do a space here and kill that little tag, and then kill this little tag, and that should be good to resolve these conflicts. I'm going to close the chat here for a minute. Let's mark as resolved. Commit the merge. Cool. And while that's running, let's make sure that's good. Oh, actually, here's another aspect, like having to run this on L7, L6, the different versions of PHP. Like again, it just creates a lot of overhead to have to support those older versions. So, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here for some of you, but for those that, kind of think, oh, well, I'm running LTS or I'm running an older version, the upgrade is pretty straightforward. I just personally don't believe in LTS. That has nothing to do with me being the creator of Shift. It's just I wouldn't actively choose to run old software. I have worked in plenty of enterprise environments where, like, maybe they think the longer support means something. I definitely understand you don't want to be upgrading all the time, but again, with Laravel moving to annual release cycles, that's plenty of time. So, you just don't want to be I just don't want to run like 3-year-old software. It's just not really what I want to do. So let's do a git checkout -b v2, and let's go ahead and push that up. Whoops, not heed. Is this good? What's left here? I just want to merge this and make sure I get this too, actually. So let's let that finish for a second. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here, and what I'm going to do to kind of relay this is probably add a kind of support policy here. And I won't type all this out and bore the audience, but basically I just want to say something to the effect of here, starting with V2 or version 2 of Blueprint, or starting with version 2, Blueprint only supports the latest stable version of Laravel. If you need to support older versions of Laravel, you may use version 1. And then I just want to also add a note of like Blueprint still follows semantic versioning. However, it does so from the perspective of its draft grammar. Its grammar. Okay, so what I mean by that, and I'll finish typing this out later, but what I mean by that is moving forward, Blueprint will only jump major version numbers when the grammar changes. So if you start changing the way the draft file is written, or there's, I don't know, just an incredible rewrite of all of that, that's when Blueprint v3 will come out. I consider Blueprint pretty much mostly feature complete, at least for Laravel's current features. Of course, as Laravel 9 is released, Blueprint might begin to generate more code or have new syntax added. That will still be version 2, because Laravel 9 will then be the latest stable version of Laravel. So unlike other packages that may be in the community that simply bump their version number just when Laravel bumps their version number, that's just not something I'm going to do for this package. I still consider it semantic versioning because, again, it's respective to the grammar. It's not respected to the Laravel framework. It's not like when Laravel framework has a rewrite, this gets a major version bump, because there's nothing rewritten in Blueprint. So I'll finish drafting that out later, but the point is I'm hoping to relay basically what I was just saying there from this. So let me know in the chat if that makes sense to you all, and let's squash merge this and make sure we get it for v2. Okay, and that should really just leave these PRs that I'm fine with these being either backfilled just since they were open, or of course in this case being a v2 only feature. And let's do get fetch origin, get checkout master again, get pull, get checkout v2, and get rebase master. Get stash, get rebase. Alright, cool. Get push origin head, and get stash pop. Alright, there's our readme back, and we should now be parallel with origin master. Great. Alright, and then finally, let's start actually killing some code. This is kind of the fun part. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this is anytime I am ripping out code, I actually like to remove the code first. Not necessarily go in and start removing the code and the tests. It's important to remember that when you have tests, this is another great reason for tests, it creates a one-to-one relationship between your code, your current implementation, and then of course your test suite. People always talk about like kind of mind-bending things of like, well, what tests your tests, right? Or you need test variants. I don't really believe in that because of that relationship, that one-to-one relationship. If I go in here and start ripping out code in isolation on the one side of that equation, so to speak, I'm going to start to have failing tests. And then that lets me know what tests I should review and remove. If I went in and just started removing tests first, I don't know all the places in my code that maybe would have been doing stuff for older versions. And vice versa, if I go remove all the code and the tests at the same time, I don't really know if I got all the places of where I'm testing that, or it's going to be a lot harder to find all the places where I'm testing it. So I just think it's an easier approach, and it's a quote-unquote safer approach by kind of addressing the code first. So when you're doing new code, you want to drive that out with tests first, theoretically, right? If you're practicing TDD or you just want to prove something, you would start with the test. But when I'm removing code, I go the other way. I remove the code first, and then I see which tests are failing and make sure, oh yeah, okay, good. I either want to strengthen my test suite, or I truly can remove those test cases. I think I was looking at this kind of quickly this morning before we started, and I think one of the places that makes the most sense is right here to start with this is Laravel 8.0 or higher. So, and we can see this is used in 28 places. So I'm going to bring this up in the windows, and we're just going to start kind of ripping this out. So anywhere where this is said, we can just make this a top level thing now, right? So we can just remove this and say, look, add that import no matter what. And let's just start taking a peek at all of these. So if keys ID, if Laravel 8 or higher, so I can remove the whole else path. And let's bring this in. And here's another one. Look at all these crazy code blocks. Remove all of that. Where else do we have it? Here's Laravel 8 or higher. Remove all of that. Laravel 8 or higher. Just killing code left and right. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of these. The factories and the models are kind of the most use cases because, again, those changed the most. Factories became class-based. Migrations have all sorts of new handy features, especially around foreign key migrations. So it's just going to make life a lot easier to start removing this code, a lot more straightforward to know, again, that we're always supporting the latest version. There's no need for all these like extra if checks. So let's just kind of quickly go through the rest of these. Looks like, again, faker here, this faker instead of, just the faker inline variable. We don't need the closure stub, so in fact I'm going to go ahead and make sure I remove that since it's a file on the file system. And let's do that. So we'll go in stubs, and it was factory closure. We're not going to need that anymore, so again, that should make a lot of tests fail. Do refactor. All right. No Laravel 8 or higher. We're just going to add that faker in automatically. So if not Laravel 8, then we would... That's kind of strange. Oh, we string replace those. Okay, so we don't need to do this anymore. Blueprint supports return type hints. It's kind of a weird name. We'll change that later. It's not really that it supports it, it's that you enabled it. All sorts of things, all sorts of things you see when you're reviewing the code. Let's bring this up. Alright, so if not Laravel 8, then we really shouldn't need to do anything there because we're only Laravel 8 from now on. So is Laravel 8 or higher, then we want to do all this now. Alright. Is Laravel 8 or higher. Okay, so no factory. We can get rid of that now. So where's that model no factory? See you later. Do it. Almost to the end of these, and then we're going to run our test suite and see what happens. So no else block anymore. Alright. So if Laravel 8, then just return that. Seeders go in seeders. That's nice and clean. What else do we have here? No seeder factory. Alright. So where's our seeder factory? Seeder, no factory. So seeder, I guess, has a factory now. Do it. Alright, 5 more. So let's drop out that. And now we just do these things. Let's push this a little farther down the road. I like to have all those assignments direct. All right. Killing code. I wanted to take a metric too of like how much of the code actually ended up getting removed. I can do that against the master branch. I was kind of speculating like I could remove 30% of the code. I think if you include the test suite, that's probably going to be true. So we'll see. Alright, let's rerun that just to make sure I didn't miss anything else. And then of course the method itself, which PHP Storm is telling me is grayed out. Great. So we shouldn't need to do that anymore. I also don't probably need to worry about PHP or higher now because we know Laravel 8 requires 7.3 or above to run, so this is probably unnecessary. And this leads me back actually to that function or the method that I didn't like anyway, so we'll probably take the opportunity to rename this. So basically, we can just now say, remove that. It's only used in one spot anyway, that's nice. So instead of supports return type hints, we could say something like use return type hints, I think. That'll match the key pretty well, so let's do that. Use return type hints. Dunzo. Missing function return type. We'll type things another day. Alright, let's make sure we have all that, and let's start running tests. To that point, we need to go into Composer and now say we're only going to be Laravel 8. Snooze. Faker registry, that's interesting, and I think Laravel is like 5.1.4 now, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm okay leaving doctrine deval that way. Probably just testbench 6 now, and probably just PHP unit 9. And I think Mockery's pretty high up there. Oh, good. Sorry, Jeff, I missed that. I'm glad you figured out the echo. I was like, there's no way both these mics are echoing. What headphones are you using? These are the Sennheiser. I think they're like maybe the $100 ones. They're like the one. Hold on. Sennheiser. Yeah, they're the Sennheiser 150. They're just a little USB mic. Yeah, I used to have like a really nice pair, and that's what I used all the time. I like the built-in headphone and mic. I used to use this, but it's kind of nice to have the hands free sometimes. I hit this cable. I would throw it over my shoulder now, a nice little trick, but I hit that cable a lot because I talk with my hands and I look at the microphone. So anyway, one more thing I want to do. Let's go into this build, and we should be able to start dropping some of these. So let's drop that, and the Laravel version's always 8. So we can drop some of this, like, I don't fully understand all of this setup, to be honest. I think these are like specific ways in which to like iterate over the different dependencies. I'll have to review this, of course, when we push it up, but all I know is that this is this is Laravel version 7, so I just don't need to do that anymore. So what this should do is loop over the PHP version matrix and the Laravel matrix, and then dump those out. So we don't really have a Laravel matrix anymore, so I could probably get rid of that and just have it be Laravel 8, and then wherever that gets used down here for the Laravel version, I can fix that up. So we'll clean that up later, though. I need to read up on how that matrix works. I kind of forgot. I think somebody like helped contribute that. Anyway, let's go to deck lamp, which is my Docker lamp container running. And let's do vendor bin. Well, first of all, let's do composer update. That way we get rid of any of the old packages that are in there, and now we know that we're only running Laravel 8 dependencies, so that will also farther make our test suite fail. So really what I want to do is just get the test suite passing again, and honestly this is kind of enough for a V2 in my mind. There's no new features or anything I want to add. I mean, again, this is all just superficial to tag it with V2. I'm really just being nice about the fact that I'm dropping support for older stuff. there's a lot of packages in the Laravel community that don't even tag major versions when they drop support. Like Spassy is an example of that. That can be annoying sometimes. Sometimes I get annoyed with that. But again, it's not a major change like to the actual code base. So there's that argument to be made that you're not necessarily breaking semantic versioning by adopting or dropping support for kind of sub-dependencies. Anyway, vendor bin PHP unit, and we should definitely get some failures. Oh, look at that. We can also migrate our configuration. Here goes all those exceptions. That's probably all related to, again, Laravel 6 and 7 specific output. Oh gosh, look at those. We'll run this here in just a second. And check the chat. All good. I notice sometimes that this isn't like all the way zoomed out, the screen. That's weird. All right, let's take a look at this. I just want to read like one of these test cases and make sure we're on the right path. So output generates tests with models with custom namespace correctly. Okay, so that is broken. That one doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why it's broken, but there's one more thing we can search for in here. First though, I'm just going to tack on that config, and I'm curious what changed. Git diff-w php unit. Oh, okay, they just like consolidated there and then changed some of the coverage stuff. It's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, whatever. I'm fine with that, I suppose. Oh, filter used to be. Okay, so filter is turned into coverage. That's right. Okay, cool. Let's remove that php unit.back file, and let's go back to PHP Storm real quick. And there is one area I know we can just blindly rip out tests, and then that'll help us focus on hopefully a smaller set of failures. And I know probably the migration generator test is going to have one of these. There's some stuff in here where it like sets, yeah, here we go, sets environment, use Laravel 6. We know any of these tests we can just totally get rid of. So I'm going to search for these next, and we'll just kind of blindly look through those. So there's going to be a lot of these. So if it's Laravel 8, then we can remove it, because again, we know that's just kind of our default setup. And if it's something else, then we can actually remove the entire test case. So this can go away now, because we're not going to support Laravel 7. And this can go away, because we know we're not going to support Laravel 6. Laravel 8 can be dropped. Alright, this whole thing can be dropped. 6. This should get rid of a lot of those exceptions. And if it doesn't, then we probably have something else strange that I did when I was deleting code. But again, that's why we're armed with those tests. We'll be able to go through them a lot more quickly. Yeah, see these migrations, I mean there's dozens. I mean there's probably half this class is code related to doing things for different versions of Laravel, because the migrations changed so much with all the different options. You could do like the new ID helper and all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be so much easier to kind of, again, generate that fresh code and know what we want to support. Alright, there's a lot of these. I think writing a regular expression to go over all of those would be a little harder to do though, so we're gonna grit through it here. I'm gonna start leaving the Laravel 8 ones because that one can be a regular expression to get rid of those. Laravel 8, Laravel 8, Laravel 8, Laravel 7, Laravel 6, Laravel 8, 8. All right. And let's delete one more of these, and I'm just kind of curious. Let's rerun the test suite, because I'm a little curious before we go too far if, you know, these are getting cleaned up or not. Okay, let's stop there for a second. We only have 9 more left anyway. Let's rerun our test suite, and I hear the chat. What's going on in here? I was expecting to be a lot worse. Yeah, it's not too bad. Those exceptions, again, are probably going to end up being related to like stub file changes. So we'll see. There's definitely a smaller little set there for sure. How many failed earlier? Let's see. 85 errors. So yeah, we're down to 27. So again, most of these are dealing probably with underlying the orchestra package actually, you know, choking because these PHP 7 environments are not available. I do want to check though. I think we configure that somewhere. I kind of forgot. I think it's in the base test case. I'll have to look that up here in a second. But I think we configure what it means to use Laravel 7. I think it might just be built in. Okay. Let's write a little regex. Or well, I don't even know if we need a regex. We can probably just do this. All right, let's refresh this. What's left? Just that one. All right, cool. And I think I can go in later. I won't do that on a live stream. It's already probably a bit dull to watch me remove code, but I'll probably go in and clean up, you know, these names, method names that are like Laravel 8 or L8 or whatever, L6, all that kind of stuff. All right, let's rerun this test suite one more time, and then we're going to go through it a little more slowly to see if we can get everything to pass. This block feels like it's an entire class that's just broken. I wonder maybe if I like introduced a syntax bug or something. Hopefully though we can get it under 20. Perfect, 19. 19 is exactly under 20. All right, let's see. I want to see what this block is. Whoa. Well, my guess is one of these in the factory is probably going to be, should be called exactly 1 times, but called 0 times. So there's probably something that I removed in the code that maybe I missed like a not when I shouldn't have, because pretty much everything in this factory generator is failing, it looks like. And that seems really odd to me. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do git add-p and start kind of incrementally going through these things that I removed to see if maybe I missed a spot where that was like a not scenario. So let's find out. Okay, so not blueprint Laravel. There it is. Very first one. That's funny. So factory generators, if not Laravel 8 or higher, then add the import. So we don't want to do that. So let's go fix that. Blueprint, that was the factory generator. Factory generator. And that was at the very top, I think. Yeah. Okay, so that was a not, so let's say no here. Let's just make sure everything else looks good. Oh wow, that was like way off. Yeah, that's fine. So blueprint, Laravel 8, whoa, that's a lot of crap. Let's slow this down. So yes, just blueprint, Laravel 8 or higher, we broke it out. That was not a not. So again, I'm just looking to see if I accidentally messed up the not there. And if I didn't, I'm going to go ahead and commit this change. But we saw already that I kind of messed it up on that very first one, which would obviously affect every generated file. So that's pretty gross. Let's go through just a few more of these, at least in the factory generator. Okay, so that's just a little formatting change. Let's go smaller here. Let's go through this one and then we'll stop. So yes, in fact the model generator is not failing, so let's see where this landed us. Get a little sip of coffee here. Hopefully we don't get a huge block of errors. Oh, excuse me. Okay, there's 3. So it looks like we missed that big block. So yeah, see that just the one little oversight there in removing code. Exact reason why we don't try to remove the code and the stuff at the same time. I would have missed that. Okay, cool. What's left? We have... This is the seeders generator. So I'm going to do a git add -p on source generator seeder, and let's just review just this one and see what I missed. So seeder sub, that looks good. If blueprints Laravel 8 or higher, then use the build, add the import. Oh, I bet you because I'm looking at this more closely now, I moved this down to try to be a little fancy, and it seems like maybe it's dependent upon that. I don't know. I'm going to say no there. So, blueprint 8 or higher, yes, that's good. Blueprint 8 or higher, use seeders, yes. Okay, so my guess is that import, probably that import line probably can't be moved. That, again, a very tiny, tiny thing. You know, you're thinking, oh, hey, I'm just going to clean up this code. And that might have just broken everything. Oops. I need to actually cut that. All right, let's put it just back where it was, which I think was here, right? We added the import before we did that. Okay, so this is the exact way the code was minus the if statement. Let's see if that fixes us. I'm optimistic. Fingers crossed, looking good so far. I feel like we would have normally hit it by now. Oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so we are in a place where we have theoretically removed any code relating to prior versions of Laravel. We're only supporting Laravel 8 now, so I think the next thing I want to do is let's do a git add -u on source. I just want to leave a few breadcrumbs here for myself. So let's do a git add tests. All right, and then we're going to do git commit -m remove code for previous versions of Laravel. All right, and then git add composer, git commit -m. We're going to bump dependencies, git add PHP unit, git commit -m, update PHP unit config for version 9 or v9, whatever. We get the idea. And then finally, let's add this .github workflow. Remove additional versions from CI. We'll just say old versions. We've been using the word old. And what I want to do is just kick off a build, maybe while I've finished typing up that README file. So let's do git push origin head. Yeah, I want to make sure this still runs across different PHP versions. I'm pretty optimistic it does, but I'm running PHP 8, so it's, you know, not 100%. So let's let that push up. Oh wait, that's not going to push up from Docker. That's why it's taking so long. Git push origin head. There we go. And let's fire off a build by creating a PR. Remove support for, or let's just say only support latest stable Laravel version. I'll fill in some body later. But let's create this pull request so we can see all the checks hopefully start running, because there might be some things to fix there. Okay, and in the meantime, feel free to send me any questions. Whoops, let's kill that. And I just want to do like a quick search for like that L8 kind of stuff, because we just may as well clean it up while we're waiting. Cool. Laravel 8. Yeah, see, these we could probably fix as well, like in the data providers. And in fact, there's probably some data providers that we could remove, but let's finish up this L8 bit here real quick. So L8, see you later. It's all just the latest. Because the goal now would be able to see test cases in here for, again, the features, because when Laravel 9 comes out in January, you know, I'll just be able to go in and change these fixtures directly for what that was. So I think the next thing we could probably do too is actually, to that point, look at the fixtures and see if there's anything in here that's like Laravel 6 or anything along those lines. Probably starting with migrations would be helpful. Yeah, here we go. We could probably find all of these and remove them. And then that would let us know, again, once those fixtures are removed, are there any test cases that are somehow still using those old fixtures, which it doesn't seem like there are, but oh, look at that. It claims everything passed. Interesting. That's interesting that it doesn't seem like the CI build kicked off, though. That's strange. Do I have an error in my waiting for pending jobs? Startup failure. Okay, so I must have created, yeah, I must have created an issue. Yeah, maybe there can't be a single version in there. Anyways, let's finish what we're doing real quick. Let's find in test fixtures, type file name is basically star laravel 6.php, and I'll print these out to start with. Okay, that looks good to me. So then we'll call delete. And let's go deck lamp, jump back in Docker, and run vendor bin php unit. I hear the chat. Let's see what's going on. Can you use parallel tests in V2? It's a Laravel package, not an application, so I'm not really using Laravel's test runner. It uses a package called Orchestra underneath, or Orchestra. It's like a test bench for Laravel, and it helps you test your Laravel packages by kind of like simulating a Laravel application. So it's possible, but it's definitely possible with a different package like Paratests or whatever. But you know, 23 seconds doesn't really bother me. And again, it's probably even just a little bit slower because of the Docker file system. So, okay, good. I didn't break anything. So again, we removed even more code. So those just must have been used only in the other data providers. So let's just also do a search for this real quick. And there's just a couple matches here. I'm going to just clean these up. Or well, it's going to take like 2 places to clean these up. So let's bring this up here. So let's go here. Yeah, see, we don't need this controller tree provider anymore. So let's clean that up, and let's just change this. Oops, that's not right. To controller. All right, let's go back and find those other ones and do the same thing here. Because anywhere where we have these, we have like a spot of dead code where it's the old models data tree provider. Yeah, there's actually 2 of them in here. So let's change this to model data tree provider. Model data tree provider. Ugh. It's already in here. I must have missed it. Model data, or model tree data provider. There you are. Uh-oh. Here's something I worry about. I worry that these were Laravel 8 specific. Well, it says soft deletes. I'm going to need to look at these more closely, I think. I'm okay removing the test fixtures that were suffixed in 6, but I'm going to need to look at these doc blocks a little more closely to make sure, for example, this provider that I just removed, were there... See, these don't say Laravel 6, so did I just lose some coverage, maybe? I don't know. Let's do this. Let's copy this. I don't think you can copy this. It's kind of annoying. It's cool that you can see what changed, but I don't think you can actually copy it. Yeah, it copies the whole thing, which is kind of annoying. Let's do this. Because the README example's in there, but is this... Yeah, see, this is the README example, Laravel 8. Let's see what happens when we run this. Probably should have just ran that one test case, but that's alright. Well, no, it's not alright. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So I just want to go through before I remove these. I'll do this off stream. I just want to go through before I remove these and make sure that I didn't lose anything that somehow was just kind of the default test case. So I'm going to leave those alone and kind of fix that up. But what I do want to do is try to get this build running real quick. Let's just spend 5 more minutes on this build, and then I'm going to end the stream. Okay, so PHP version 7.4, fail fast, false, Laravel version Laravel 8. I wonder what I broke. I didn't really remove... Oh, include. There's this include section. Oh, okay. I see. I see. Well, there's definitely my error, but let's go back and look at those things that I removed real fast. There might have been something that was worthwhile in there. Show history. All right, let's bring this back to life, actually. And put those back. Okay, so what this was doing... So I think I'm starting to remember this now. Okay, so the matrix basically says, look, run 7.4 and 8.0, and then run them for Laravel version 8. There's only one thing in there, and then also run them for these particular things. So, for example, run them for Ubuntu with the highest dependencies, and then run them for Windows and run them for Mac. And I think this was to try to cover different operating systems. So what I'm curious about is if it makes sense to just run these, add the different OSs here. And I feel like the answer is yes. I feel like I just want to say Windows latest and Mac OS latest. Let's just run them for all combinations. I'm not sure why that had dependencies highest, but I think this should resolve the error. So let's do git add.github. Let's just see these kick off and then we'll stop. Add additional platforms to CI. All right, and again, I'm gonna look at those test fixtures and clean up what was deleted a little bit better. Just make sure I'm not losing any coverage. I don't think that I am for the Laravel 6 extension files, but again, there's a lot of things that are Laravel 8 and a lot of data providers that aren't being called now, so I think there's an opportunity to fix those. Oh crap, I'm on Docker again. That's why I have that little whale there. Git push origin head. There we go. Let's see this kick off. What I'd like to see, there we go. So let's just see here. Okay, so we have PHP 7 L8 on Ubuntu, 7 L8 on Windows, 7 L8 on Mac, and then we have PHP 8 on Ubuntu, Windows, and Mac. And those are running. Great. Okay, so I feel like everything's set up here. There's just some kind of house cleaning. All the tests are running. I just want to go back and rename and consolidate some of those migrations so there's no, L6, L8, Laravel 8, Laravel 6 kind of extensions. So the older versions, pretty straightforward. We just remove them. But the newer versions, as we've noticed, probably need just a bit more care to not only rename those files, but make sure the data providers have a union of whatever the two data providers used to be. And it looks like they did, but I just want to slow down and check that a little bit more. So anyway, the goal probably early next week will be to tag this as v2, and that way if you're running Laravel 8, you know that you can just use version 2, and this is what's going to be kind of worked on moving forward. I'll probably finish these PRs and merge them into both branches and tag a final version 1 release whenever I do this next week. And then after that, I won't do anything with v1, not even any kind of, version bumps for Laravel or anything like that. Like it's dead. v2 is it. If you want to use Blueprint to generate code, then you should be generating the latest Laravel code and running the latest version. The world will be a happier place, and you'll thank me in the long run. So with that, thanks everyone for joining. Sorry for the audio snafu in the beginning. We'll go back to the shotgun mic next time. See ya.